Hi everyone, I hope you guys have had a great week. I have been here in Edinburgh. I've been working on various things. Rosa's at her mum's this week, so generally in the weeks where she's at her mum's, I have a little bit more space and time to think. Those of you that have little kids, you'll understand how it's consuming, isn't it? It's a very kind of consuming job, raising kids, because they just require so much attention and they require it so quickly that it really can be just a lot of headspace, which is great. I was listening to a really interesting talk with a guy called Gabor Mate and a comedian called Theo Von, and it was getting me thinking a lot about attachment. I was really lucky when Rosa was little. I was able to take off quite a lot of time and really just be with her and really connect to her and develop our relationship loads, and it's paid off loads. We have an amazing relationship and I feel really proud of that. I feel like that's my biggest achievement in amongst all of the other things I've achieved in my life. A relationship is maybe a strange thing to look at as an achievement, but it does take work. It requires negotiation, it requires sacrifice, it requires discipline. So there's a lot of the kind of contents of a relationship which do connect to things like work, and I think looking at being a parent as work has actually been good for me. I think almost too many people look at parenthood like, oh, I'll have a baby and I'll have this nice little miniature version of me, whereas if they went into it thinking, I'm just going to join the army basically, and it's going to be really hard, I think it would prepare you better, and also it would give you a more realistic view on what you're actually getting into. And I think if you look at it as something that is really hard and also really rewarding in the same way as a really big creative project, I've done really well out of approaching it in that way, out of looking at it in that kind of way. I thought for the Sunday catch-up today, I'd share 10 things which have helped me to create a lot of stuff. In my life, I've managed to create dozens of albums, if you include the albums I've made for other people. I've managed to make films, I've managed to write a book, I've managed to do thousands of concerts, I've managed to do all that stuff while raising a kid. I've managed to build a coaching practice, build video courses, build all sorts of different things creatively, and people who I'm friends with are often impressed by the volume of things that I'm able to do creatively, all whilst being a dad. And it gets me thinking about why I'm able to do those things. And there's things that I do in my life which are normal to me that actually I realize as I get older are not normal, but they are things which help me to have the tremendous creative output which I do have. And so I thought I'd share them, because sometimes the things which you sort of take for granted and you think, oh, I can do that easily, or these are just normal things that I do, sometimes they're the things which can be really helpful for other people. So I thought it could be cool to share 10 of them, share 10 things I don't do and 10 things I do that help me maintain a very, very high creative output. And the first one is building the character. So whenever I make an album, I don't so much think about the album as, hey, I'm Adam Holmes and I'm going to kind of just express myself. Obviously, everything is self-expression, so I know that I'm going to express myself. But what I mean is, I don't think, what exact things are in my life right now that I can write about? What I actually do is I start to feel a kind of character in me. And all of my albums begin as a thought, they begin as a feeling, and they begin as an ambient, distant sense of character. So as an example, when I made my album Dreamweaver, which is the fourth album that I made, I was thinking a lot about American musicians, and I started to wear check shirts, play with heavy plectrums, grow my beard out, and just get into the mindset of one of these kind of rough American sort of farmer guy living in a rural place. I just had this kind of a bit of a character going on. And obviously when we're creating art, we're only ever going to play part of ourselves. So I don't think you need to, as a musician, as a songwriter, think, oh, I need to just purely express myself. I think if you follow your interest, that will allow you to express aspects of yourself, because we're only ever dealing with aspects of ourselves. No one is 100% this or 100% that. So that's a really helpful thing for me when I'm starting to go into the process of making an album, which I actually am right now. And again, it's about who's this character, who's this person. It's about this kind of curiosity and following my interest. The second thing which has helped me have a very, very high creative output is just having very little stuff. In this room I'm sitting in, this is my living room, and in this room I have one chair, a couple of little tables, one cabinet, and that's it. In my bedroom I have my bed, a chair, and some drawers. That's it. I don't have loads and loads of books. I don't have loads and loads and loads of clothes. I don't have loads of pictures on the walls. I like to just have my space incredibly clean and sparse and minimal, because I want to have as much headspace as I possibly can in order to create. And I see a lot of people who I'm close to, who are friends, family members, that just have a ton of stuff. And I think it's insane. I just think it's crazy. And then they'll go to move house and it's like, oh my God, what a stress. We need to move all the boxes of magazines that I collected from that. It's like, it's crazy. And I think there's a lot of power in just having that kind of headspace completely clear, completely clean. I want to look around my room and feel clarity so that I can just search for creative thoughts. I'm not looking to be creative about how I organize my house. I don't want to think about it. I want to have that headspace clear. And this comes into a bit of a misguided perception on what creativity is. Everything you do is creative. Everything. So if interior design is your thing, brilliant. But if you're pouring energy into that, and then you're complaining that you don't have time to write your book, make your album, make your film, whatever. Yeah, it could be that the stuff around you is actually taking oxygen from your creative headspace. So the way I handle that is I just have hardly any stuff, and that really works for me. The third one, and I've said it a few times and I'll keep saying it, is not reading news. I don't read the news, I don't watch the news. If news pops up on my phone, I do my best to just get out of my sphere, because I want to keep, again, my headspace as clear as I can. I read an article one time that said people are 70% more likely to report a bad day if they read the news. So if you look at that just as like headspace, that is taking up your headspace. It's stopping you creating something. And actually, my view is if more people had creative output rather than consumption and wanting to consume and take, then the world would be a better place, and there would be less war, there would be less suffering, there would be less negativity in the world if more people just had a creative output. So I'm not saying this is right. I get that so many of you feel it's really important to watch the news. I personally just find it suffocates my headspace. It's too much, and so I just don't, and that clears up a lot of headspace for me. The fourth thing which has helped me a lot in my creative journey is being a businessman about my art. And the reason is that if you ask yourself, how can I get paid to be an artist? What you're actually asking yourself is, how can I create more value for more people? So for example, if I was to say, how do I make some money this month? Maybe I'll do an online concert, and then I go and film it, employ people to come and film it, and we do it, and we offer value for the people at the gig, and then I'm offering value to people in the world. It's really difficult for me as an artist to say, I'm going to make more money and have a business head on me without touching a lot of lives. I'm not BP Oil, I'm not Amazon, I'm an artist. So when I ask the question, how can I make more money and how can I employ people? That's only ever a positive thing. That's never a negative thing. And I see too many artists that have this really negative mentality around money, which I think a lot of us inherit. I grew up with it. I grew up with a bad philosophy around it, as if everyone who makes money is bad and wanting money is bad. But it's not all created equal. Obviously, when capitalism is used as an extraction tool to just pull out of communities and pull out of small businesses, that of course that's not good. But small businesses, independent businesses, and right on business is a positive thing. It's a good thing. And as an artist, having a business head on you will just give you a kind of map of how to create more art. So that's been a really positive thing for me. The fifth thing has been helping others. So rehearsing a positive mindset from a coaching perspective by constantly seeking to find the things which actually help me. Like today's an example. These are not, here's the perfect system for being an artist. Not that. I'm just saying 10 things that have actually genuinely helped me. And hopefully when I say them to you, that helps you as well. But the sheer practice of searching for things which have been helpful to me and using them to help others helps me by allowing me to rehearse a good mindset and maintain a healthy, creative, artistic mindset. The sixth thing which has helped me as an artist, helped me be creative, is studying versus consuming. So when I listen to Bob Dylan, I'm not mindlessly consuming Bob Dylan while I'm cooking or whatever. I am actively studying him. I'm analysing, I'm thinking about why he's made those choices. It's active consumption. It's active consumption. That's the difference, is you are using it as a piece of, almost like a sample, where you can listen to it, really get into it, think about the character again, think about why is Dylan making that choice there? Why is Neil Young going to that card there? Why is Joni Mitchell choosing those words? You know, if you start to consume in this kind of way, breaking down the instrument choices, breaking down the sonic choices, why have they got no reverb on that vocal? You know, getting into that mindset of asking questions, it really opens up art in a whole new way. And some people have asked me before, does being a musician ruin songs? Does being a recording engineer and a producer ruin songs? I think it's the opposite. I think it really allows you to appreciate why they've maybe made those choices and how cool it is that they've made those choices. Even from a boxing perspective, when I do boxing training and then I watch a Mike Tyson fight, it just opens up a whole level of respect and understanding for why it's so cool that they can make their body do these things and have this fearlessness and have this stamina. So studying versus consuming, a really helpful thing in terms of creativity. The seventh thing which has helped me loads in my creativity is 2 minutes a day as a philosophy. So many of us get wrapped up in, I want to go on a retreat, let's say, for like 3 weeks in France and write my novel. That's fine, but the difference in the world is not between people that go to France and spend 3 weeks. It's between people that do nothing and people that do 2 minutes a day. So if you can just force yourself to do 2 minutes a day, you'll probably end up doing more. But there's a lot of people that bag on the bare minimum. And actually, if you can just consistently do the bare minimum, you're probably ahead of 95% of people, because most people are delaying for the perfect moment, which never comes. If you've got kids, if you've got a job, if you run other businesses and you've got relationships and friendships and you have a life that you want to maintain, you're never gonna not have a life. You don't want to not have a life. You're meant to have a life. But if you can carve out that space, that 2 minutes every single day, you'll do better than most people. And what I would say is it's actually a kind of social thing. 99% of the time, the reason you don't take it is because you're afraid of coming across as a bad person. You have to get over that and carve out that little bit of time, even if it is just 2 minutes, even if it is on a day when the people around you don't want you to take it. It's something that you have to dedicate your life to if you want to be an artist. That doesn't have to be massive. It's about the quality of the time that you dedicate. It's not necessarily about the amount of time that you dedicate, but it's about the quality of the time that you dedicate. The 8th thing, which has helped me loads, is I don't cook and I don't clean. Those are 2 things that I have deleted from my list. I think it's crazy the amount of people that will say, I could never afford a cleaner. No way. No, that's absolutely for rich people. What a waste of money. I'll do it myself, right? And I pay my cleaner £40 a week. But I don't then spend that £40 in the pub. So many people go and they're buying clothes. They're buying, meals out, or they're buying things that they don't need to buy, which don't improve the quality of their life. Or people will rip 150 quid in the pub in one night on a big round of drinks, or a meal out or whatever, but they won't invest 30 or 40 quid in a cleaner, which literally just clears up your whole life. It clears all that headspace that you spend every day. Oh God, I need to do that later. I need to do that. If you remove that, you buy back all of that time. And I think a lot of us think, oh, I need to save money on that, rather than I need to save time. You can never get back more time. And so if you can free up more time by hiring someone to do an hour and a half of cleaning a week, or even a couple hours every couple of weeks, that can really clear up a lot of headspace for creativity. Again, I don't cook. I just personally eat out. That works for me. The spend for me, if I can then buy 4 hours where I can actually be doing something like this, creating a video, or creating more music, or coaching people. This is more a point, I guess, which applies maybe to self-employed people, but I have a lot of friends around me who I see that are afraid to spend 20 quid on a cleaner or 20 quid on a meal out, and they'd rather save the money and cook the stuff and spend the time, or clean the house and spend the time. But when I started to look at, I can just buy back that time and then invest that time into my business, into rest, into creative thinking or whatever, that really opened things up for me. The 9th thing is not owning property. I don't own any property. I understand why people want to. Personally, my kind of philosophy is on freedom over security. I think a lot of people really want quote-unquote security. Then again, a good friend of mine's had a flat in Glasgow that he'd had for 10 years, and he had a tenant in there. And then the foundations of the flat crumbled, and he had to start paying for this tenant to live in another place. My dad's wife had a property, and there was a roof bill, and she had to suddenly find 20 grand to pay this roof bill and contact all the people. The reality is, especially in these kind of older properties, but all properties really, is it's not as simple as that's a great place to put your money and you're definitely going to get a good return and it gives you security. It's not as simple as that. Life is not as simple as that. Things are nuanced. And for me, personally, not owning property just creates this incredible amount of headspace for my creative projects. Now again, this is not financial advice. This is not any advice really. This is just me saying things that have actually worked for me as a creative person. Why I've been able to create 7 albums, why I've been able to create dozens of albums for other people and write books and make films and run 2 businesses. For me, it's been helpful to just take that completely out of the equation and just pour all my mental energy into creativity. I think the whole concept of home ownership honestly is a bit mental anyway, because we're only alive 100 years. This flat here has stood for 250 already, and there's been like 5 or 6 families that have lived in it, and they all felt like it was theirs, and then a bunch of them are in the grave now anyway. So it's all borrowed. We're here for, relatively speaking, a finite amount of time. And so for me, I want to spend all of that time creating. That's me. That's just how I want to live. The 10th thing, The final thing that's helped me loads with my creativity is to take 10 minutes every morning. Every single morning, no matter what, I take 10 minutes. And I think about that as the workshop of my mind. I literally just, there's nothing can interrupt me from taking that 10 minutes, from just using that to really think, who do I want to be today? Because rather than writing a to-do list, you could write a to-be list. You could think, how do I want to show up today for my family? How do I want to show up today for my clients? How do I want to show up today for my art? Rather than just waking up and being knocked into the kind of demands of the day and just reacting to them. If you take that 10 minutes first thing, it can just give you space to actually choose how you're going to show up in the day. And so many of us are just rolling into the day, and just before we know it, all of our energy is just being sucked into other people's agendas. And I don't see how you can be creative if that's how you're living. I think you need to the whole act of being creative is about making choices. That's all it is. That's all creativity is. How can you make choices if you're just reacting to everything all the time? So those are 10 things which help me stay creative. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week, whatever you're up to. Week ahead's looking good. Rose is coming back. I'm looking forward to seeing her. If you enjoy this kind of content, I would greatly appreciate if you would click on the link in the description or send me a message with the word club and join my £1 a month club for more tips like this, for more creativity, for more positive influence. That's what I want to be in the world. That's what I want to give. I want to give positivity. I want to give positive perspectives, and I want to encourage more of us to think creatively and be creative rather than be consumers, because I think that's what the world needs. So if you want to support me, support my art, and you have £1.50 a month that you would contribute to my mission, contribute to my cause, in return, I'll give you songwriting workshops, online concerts, behind the scenes content like this inside of my Patreon. Hope to see you in there, and have a great day. Cheers. See you next week.